Okay, I'm told that we're live. Computer says yes this morning. Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you've all had a nice weekend. Hope the weather's been dry at least. It's about the best we can hope for this time of year. But got some nice, cool, crisp sort of mornings and evenings as well. And it's not too hot either. So if we do want to get out for a walk, it's not at that kind of unbearable time of year where it's either really, really hot or sort of really cold when we first leaving the house and getting moving as well. So plenty of chance to get out and get moving over the winter as well. And of course, I'm going to keep throwing plenty your way to keep you moving and give us plenty to keep us sort of active over the winter period. So for most of you guys, this might actually be your first course that you're doing with Media Savvy. So welcome, first of all, I guess. I'm Rob, and I'm going to be talking you through today's session, which is pretty much we're trying just exploring the idea of understanding our own fitness a little bit more, and what it means to be fit, because what it means to be fit to one person might be totally different to somebody else, and we can't all be incredibly fit in all the ways. Even the best athletes in the world aren't. They really sort of hone their skills, like to play to their strengths, I guess, and that's something that we can have a little bit of a look at this morning as well. So before we jump into anything, guys, just to point you in the direction of some extra information. So where the YouTube video is, where I'm yammering away at the minute, and there should be a little drop down box underneath it, like the description section, just tells you a little bit about today's video. But in there, you should find my email address. Yeah, in case you need to reach out to me for future sessions, future courses, you might have some questions about today or whatever. There is a survey in there as well. So there's a link that'll take you to a short survey, and then you can just put all your answers on there. And then when you close it down, all the answers just come back to us. So you wouldn't need to like download it, fill it in, save it, email it back, or any of that. So if you just follow that link, and fill in that survey at the end of the day's session, it won't even take you 30 seconds, guys. And it helps us fill in some paperwork on this end for you. And your feedback's always important to us as well at Media Savvy. We like to know what we're doing well and where we can improve. So that is pretty much the majority of the information that you're going to find in that description box. Another thing that you'll find in there as well is a link to a fitness session, because all of our online sessions come with like an online fitness video to do as well, to keep you moving, and again give you something to do, keep you active, and sort of keep you moving as well. So that link again will take you straight to our YouTube playlist of all of our workout videos. The one I've chosen for today is just a nice stretching video, so maybe it's like 10 minutes or so to talk about it and warm up. And then we're doing like 20 minutes of stretching, just in case this is your sort of first steps on a new fitness journey, in case this is the first that we're sort of thinking about our own fitness in a while. I know through COVID and through lockdown and stuff like that, there's been other priorities, there's been restrictions, there's been a lot of stuff in the way of us exercising and being active in the way that we normally would be, potentially a lot of stuff that many of us do day to day to keep active and keep moving and get a little bit of exercise in there. A lot of that wasn't available this time last year or even 6 months ago, guys. So now it's a really good time to be thinking about, okay, we're sort of heading towards or moving slowly back towards some kind of normality, whatever that is going to be. If you're establishing a new normal, either way, we're trying to set habits now, we're trying to set good habits that we can sort of build on going forward as well, because we're thinking long term. I don't like to use the word diet in the sense that it's something temporary, and training plan and exercise plan and stuff like that. You can focus on something for, right, I'm going to focus on this for the next 6 weeks, 12 weeks, or whatever it might be, and then think about, okay, where do I want to go from there, So so that is pretty much everything in the description section beneath today's video anyway. You'll have links to our socials in there as well, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that as well. So if you want to keep up, again, future courses and stuff like that, then by all means, check those out as well and just give us a little follow, keep up to date with all the news that's coming out. At the same time, if you want to drop me an email, then by all means do. And then same again, I'll just pass you on any extra information that you need when the time comes, or when we've got some more courses coming up or whatever. Okay then, guys, so let's get into it, because it's quite an interesting question that I want to explore this morning. And it's, what does fitness mean to you as an individual? Yeah, when you think of the word fitness, or to be fit, or when you think to yourself, I would like to be fit or fitter, what does that mean to you? Because that is going to be different to everybody, you know. To some people, like to myself, being fit, being able to get up and move pain-free, being able to go out and play sports when I want to, or, you know, run around with the dog, or whatever it might be. That's a good level of fitness for me. I'm strong enough to do what I need to do. I'm fit enough to be able to exercise and stuff like that. So, you know, that's my idea of fitness. But then you would probably look at somebody who gets on stage as a bodybuilder, you know, if you've seen a Mr. Olympia, or think of like a fitness model or something like that as well, you would potentially look at them and say, look, they must be really fit. Look, they're carrying no fat. Look at their muscles. The muscles are so big. They're really fit as well. Yeah. And then you might have somebody who just wants to be able to play with the grandkids when they come round, or carry the shopping back from the shops, or lift the shopping in and out of the car, or whatever it might be, getting up and down out of the loft at home, you know, because a lot of what we exercise for is longevity. So our body will work for longer, and work well for longer, you know. And at the same time, we're training for we're sort of the here and now as well, you know. We're thinking about, okay, where am I now? What would I like to be working towards, and where would I like to end up? So yeah, have a little bit of a think about what fitness would mean to you. Yeah, because as we're going to see this morning, and as we're going to get into, fitness means something different to everybody, and, you know, really being specific on that can help you achieve those goals a lot quicker, because you're not, you know, focusing, spending time and energy on other stuff. So to start us off, guys, we have got a little wellness word search to do. So what we've got there, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 16 words, all to do with different types of fitness, yeah, or different components of fitness, different aspects of fitness. So if we have just 5 minutes or so, and you guys can go through, pick out whatever answers you can find, yeah, even make a note of if you've heard of the words before, if you've not heard of the words before, and of course we'll take a little bit of time and break them down and explain them all anyway, in 5 minutes or so anyway. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know, you know, how many of these words have you come across before? How many of these are you familiar with? Is there any that are brand new that you've never come across before? Are there words that you're familiar with but I've heard but don't really know what it means, or sort of how it will be used in context? So yeah, 5 minutes or so, and then we'll start to break some of these down, because these are all pretty much all of these are what we would class to be components of fitness. Yeah, so it's either an area of fitness we can work on and develop, or it's something to do with fitness that we can measure to tell us, you know, or to give us an idea how fit we are as well. You know, stuff like our heart rate and stuff like that, you know, we can get an idea how fit we are just from that alone. So in fact, I'll actually break these down as we go through them while you guys are having a little bit of a look, and then we'll just ping straight to the answer slide in a minute. So strength, probably a word that you're familiar with, have come across before. When we're thinking about strength in this context, we're thinking about strength, we're thinking about how much force a muscle can apply or exert through like one movement. Yeah, so it's a maximum of strength through doing something once, yeah, rather than moving something heavy over and over again. Yeah, that actually kind of translates like into something different. So strength is just pure sort of force through sort of one movement, yeah, you know. Then we've got flexibility. So again, flexibility might be one that you've come across before. Flexibility is the range of movement at our joints, yeah, or each of the joints in the body. So there is, of course, how far a joint should move, yeah, based on the muscles and the tendons and how much range you should have. And then you have your flexibility, which is how far you can actually move. Yeah, so maybe your hamstrings are quite tight, you know, when you go down to tie your shoelaces or your lower back or something like that, you know. Maybe if you were trying to sort of hold something behind your head, you would struggle to get your sort of shoulders and your arms that far back as well. That's all to do with flexibility, guys. And we've got balance, which is kind of keeping your center of mass over your base of like your base. So it balance, guys, like not falling over, standing on both of your feet, which are underneath you, anchoring you, you know, harder on one foot. You're a lot less stable using both feet, but that's what we're talking about when we're thinking balance, guys. And that could be, you know, even a handstand. You know, a handstand requires good balance. Walking on a balance beam in the gymnastics requires balance. Then we have like dynamic balance as well, which might be like a cartwheel where you've got to keep your balance all the way through the movement, but you're moving throughout it, you know, like Olympic diving and stuff like that all requires dynamic balance. But that's what we're talking about when we're mentioning balance, guys. Then we've got heart rate. So a heart rate is essentially just checking your pulse to tell you how hard your heart is working. So you would take two fingers, or, you know, if you've got a Fitbit or something like that that does it for you these days, happy days. If not, if you've got no tech to help you out, it's two fingers on your wrist or on your sort of on the side of your neck, and you're feeling for a pulse. Yeah, so sort of like a beating, to sort of tell us that our heart's beating, really. Yeah. It's always tempting to use your thumb on like your wrist or on your neck as well, but the thumb sometimes has enough of a sort of like a heartbeat in it as well, believe it or not, that beat sometimes when you're pressing on something, you'll actually be counting the beats that are in your thumb and not the beats where you're trying to count, if that makes sense. So if we use these two fingers, yeah, and then just put them on your wrist, listen for the beat, then what you can do, you can set your timer away for 15 seconds, count how many beats you get, and then because we want beats per minute, we times that 15 seconds by 4. Yeah, if you wanted to, you could do time it for 30 seconds and double it, or you could count it for the full 60 if you wanted to, you know. But just in terms of saving time, you tend to be able to get away with, you know, count for 15 seconds and then times it by 4 to get our beats per minute. And that, guys, it's just really telling us how hard our heart's beating at that moment in time. So how hard is the heart working to pump blood and oxygen around the body? Because that's essentially what the heart's doing. And when that needs to be done more, the heart speeds up and your heart rate speeds up, which is why when you've been exercising, your heart rate should and probably will always be higher than when you just sat chilling out watching the telly, because we've got our exercise heart rate, which is actually on this list as well. We've got our exercise heart rate, which again is just referring to our heart rate once we've checked it, beats per minute, when we're in a state of exercise, whatever it might be, no matter how intense that exercise might be. And then we have our resting heart rate as well, which is our heart rate when we kind of just chilling out, watching telly, doing whatever, taking it nice and easy, not really exercising, not very active. And we can actually also look at the number, like how much that number jumps as well. Yeah, so we should be able to, we can get an idea how fit we are from a resting heart rate point of view, because it should be somewhere between sort of 60 and 80 beats per minute for a resting heart rate. Now, the fitter you are, and the more your body is used to working at a higher level, a more intense level, the easier your body finds it to work at that resting rate. yeah, when you're not challenging your body, when you're not asking it to do very much. So for Joe Public, for ourselves, it might be somewhere between 60 and 80 beats per minute. A professional athlete, somebody who's really fit, could be sitting somewhere closer to 40, or certainly between 40 and 60. But then it goes the other way, guys, as well. When we're not very fit, our body does have to work harder at that base level. Maybe there's obstructions in our arteries and our veins and stuff as well, that the blood needs to pump harder to sort of get past and work its way past as well. So maybe when it comes to that resting heart rate, if we are not overly healthy, our body is working quite hard even when we're not doing very much. Yeah. So our resting heart rate can be quite high. I would say anything over 100 for a resting heart rate needs a little bit more. It needs some attention, guys. If not, sort of going to your GP and speaking to them about that. It certainly needs sort of positive change in this respect in terms of health and well-being, guys. So again, just different ways we can use those stats to check how fit we are. So yeah, our exercise heart rate and our resting heart rate. And again, guys, if you've never done it before, try it now. Try count 15 seconds, count your pulses, times it by 4, see how many beats per minute you've got while you're, sat studying at 10:30 on a Monday morning, or whenever during the week you might be watching this back. Because of course, I know that there's a few of you out there going to sort of watch this back when you can, in your spare time as well. If you are ever watching along live, guys, I've always got one eye on the live chat. If you want to chuck something in there and sort of put something out there, then by all means do. Like I say, I've always got one eye on the chat as well. Okay, so we've got as far as heart rate down this side. So speed is the distance traveled divided by time taken. Yeah. So it's just the idea of, moving across a certain distance as fast as possible, really, when it comes to speed. Again, probably one that you're quite familiar with. But I think we use speed, related to like cars and stuff like that a lot more than, we're thinking about it when it comes to people. But that's what it's just covering a distance as fast as you can. Then we've got reaction time. So reaction time is like the idea of how fast can you respond to a stimulus as it's coming in. So if you think like a goalkeeper in football, if a shot takes a deflection on the way through and he has to sort of react and, correct himself and make a save, that's a sort of example of reaction time. Then we've got, if you think about like race car drivers as well, they have to be able to respond to where they are on the track. Maybe there's been an accident on the track. They weren't expecting, a bit of debris or something on the track as well that they have to react to. So reaction time, again, really important in a skill-based sort of way. It's not physical. It's not a physical attribute really in the sense of, muscular strength or speed or something like that. But our reaction time, again, in certain sports can make a big difference. It can, be the difference between winning and losing. Gold medals and silver medals and bronze medals and all of that, thinking about something like a 100-meter sprint where, the whole event lasts 9-10 seconds. So whoever responds to the starting gun fastest is going to have a big advantage, because that 1/10 of a second they take off before other people, there's less time to make that up across something that only lasts 9-10 seconds as well. So reaction time is it's like our reflexes. Reaction time is quite a big one. Coordination, we've got coordination in the sense of so coordination is the ability to carry out a motor task, so sort of like a physical movement, as sort of accurately, and efficiently. So being able to say, right, I want to pick this cup up, and being able to move your hand over, grip at the right time, pick it up, hold it, and all of that. Thinking about dancing, even, you know, being able to move your feet to the right place and in a sense rhythm and stuff like that. You know, people who would say, oh, I've got two left feet, you know, those might be people who would consider themselves to have poor coordination as well. And then we've got stuff like darts as well, I guess, you know, darts where you've got to release the dart at the right point, get your trajectory right, and be really, really specific. You know, it's a game of sort of fine margins as well. So darts is like throwing a dart, another example of testing coordination as well. Okay, guys, moving on, we've got agility next. So agility is the being able to sort of quickly and suddenly change directions, but without losing your balance. Yeah. So think about stuff like rugby, American football in general, you know, where a player will run in one direction and make it look as though they're going to go one way, and then they'll like change direction really quick and run a different way, and they've left the other guy so confused, you know. He hasn't really, his reaction time, because he was expecting one thing, he hasn't been quick enough to react to, you know, whatever change in body shape like Messi or Ronaldo or somebody's done, and they're away and you're not catching them, you know. But yeah, agility, sort of quickly changing direction without losing your balance. Wellness in general can refer to a lot of things, quite a broad term. Wellness when it comes to thinking about our physical health, but it goes that step further as well. We're thinking about our emotional and our mental health as well, guys, when it comes to wellness. So not only, you know, how fit are we, how, you know, have we got enough vitamins, are we getting enough nutrients and minerals and stuff like that, and then, like I say, the emotional and the mental side of wellness as well. We did reaction time, cardiovascular endurance. So two long words. So cardiovascular is always to do with the heart and your lungs. You think so, cardiac arrest, cardiovascular sort of exercise in general. It's all to do with like the heart and your breathing and how effective your body is at getting oxygen. Your heart is pumping oxygen around the body when your body needs it. And then we've got the word endurance on the end. So the word endurance tends to be sort of like for time. So for how long can you do it? So it's not about working really hard for 5 seconds, like sprinting on the spot for 5 seconds. This is across a longer amount of time. Yeah. So cardiovascular endurance, you know, how long can you go? How far can you go? If you're running, for example, or even rowing or cycling or whatever, how far can you go before your body isn't getting enough oxygen anymore, and, you know, your heart rate's really struggling to sort of keep up. So that's our endurance, you know, how far can we go cardiovascularly? How long do our heart and lungs work during exercise to keep us moving, and how efficient are they at doing it? And then we have, we talk about our exercise heart rate. Physical activity, guys, is of course anything to do with getting moving, anything that burns calories, really. I think a lot of us think of exercise and, you know, going to the gym, exercise classes and stuff like that. But, you know, it doesn't have to be that, you know. That sort of exercise and that form of physical activity isn't for everybody, doesn't interest everybody. And there's a lot of different things out there we can do to keep moving. You know, we've got competitive sports, football, rugby, netball, tennis, squash, badminton, anything like that. It's all movement, it's all physical activities. Then we've got swimming, walking, something that I'm sure like plenty of us did, plenty of, like, through lockdown last year and the start of this year. You know, walking counts as exercise, it's physical activity. Then we've even got stuff like just doing jobs around the house, you know, hoovering, wiping the sides down, cleaning, you know, doing the bathroom or whatever it might be, doing the dishes. It's all physical activity, you know. You're moving, you're using muscle, you're burning calories, and your heart and your lungs are working as well, you know. So and just to put it to the test, using our heart rate, we can actually check this. So, like, you could, when you are at rest, when you're just chilling out before you're going to start doing any sort of physical activity, you can check your heart rate, get your number, and then from there, you can check it again. You can check it again after you've done whatever job it is that you're going to do. Yeah, so like if you're going to be doing the hoovering, check your heart rate, make a note of it, get up and do the hoovering, however long it takes, then check your heart rate again afterwards and see how much it's come up based on, you know, something that shouldn't feel like exercise, you know, really. But it's still physical activity. And that's it, guys. It's better than doing nothing as well. You know, like you think, oh, we can go to the gym 1 hour out of the day, we can exercise 1 hour out of the day. Even if we did that every day of the week, there's still 23 other hours in the day where we're either moving or we're not. Yeah, we're either being physically active or we're not. And those 23 hours make up your fitness journey just as much as the 1 hour that you spend in the gym or, you know, meal prepping or at a fitness class or whatever it might be, you know. So yeah, we of course want to make sure that we're keeping moving and doing a little bit of something's better than nothing, guys, as always. Okay, so then we've got muscular endurance. So on to the last few now, guys. Muscular endurance, we've got, again, thinking about endurance, it's how long can it go for, how long can it last, and we're thinking about the muscles as well. So rather than with cardiovascular endurance, where we're talking about the heart and the lungs tiring out, in this case, we are talking about the muscle itself wearing out, you know, before those muscles start to get tired or lock up. You know, does the muscle shut down before your heart rate can't keep up, or is it the other way around? Muscular endurance would be doing 50 press-ups, you know, or 50 squats with no weight. That's your muscular endurance because you've gone 50 times. That takes a lot longer. Muscular strength would just be doing it once. Yeah, just do a squat once, but as heavy as you can. Yeah, so that's the big difference between strength and endurance. Strength is maximum output once. Endurance is sort of minimal to sort of average output, but for a longer amount of time. We talked about resting heart rate, and then body composition is next. Then, so body composition. So body composition is essentially the what your body is made up of in the sense of, you know, in percentages in terms of fat, water, and muscle mass. Yeah, so you know, you might have ever heard somebody say, "Oh, I'm X% body fat." That's kind of what they're referring to. You know, how much fat are they carrying? How much water are they carrying? And how much muscle are they carrying as well? You know. And there's not really, as we're going to get into this morning, there's not really a right and wrong way for our body composition to be, really. You know, a lot of it depends on who we are, what our idea of fitness is, what it means to us, and what we want our body to be able to do, really, I guess. Yeah, but we'll get on to that in just a little bit. Right, guys, so let's get a look at some of these answers. I will just leave that slide up there for a few minutes so everybody can check. Or find any of the ones that they didn't get yet if you were missing any. Yeah, let me know how you got on with that one as well. And again, if there was any of those words that you already knew, and if there's any of those that you're sort of coming across today, maybe for the first time. So, like we can see there, guys, there's a lot of different areas or a lot of different components of fitness. And there's nobody, really, it's impossible to be really good at all of them, or certainly be sort of the best at all of them, you know, which is why a lot of people tend to focus on a couple, especially at first. Focus on a couple, the areas of fitness that are most important to you, you know, thinking about what do you think of when you think of fitness, or when you say, you know, I would like to get fit or be fitter. What does that actually mean? Which of these applies? And then we can, you know, so just for example, if you were thinking, okay, I really want to be able to chase the kids round. I want to be able to play with my grandkids when they come round. You know, that's going to be stuff like cardiovascular endurance, you know, so stuff like walking on a treadmill for a longer period of time is going to help you be able to keep up on a cardiovascular level with the grandkids when they're around and stuff like that, you know. Maybe you've decided you want to get a little bit stronger, you know, for going out and playing rugby on a weekend with your mates or whatever it might be. Well, then, okay, we can focus on strength, as opposed to, you know, if you're trying to get better at that, but you're doing, let's have a look, if you were focusing more on your body composition, than your strength, you know, you could potentially find yourself coming backwards performance-wise. So that's why it's really handy to have a think about what does fitness actually mean to us as individuals, and what's our priority in sort of pursuing them as well. All right, guys. So we'll have a little we'll spin on, because then if you're still checking any answers, just pause it here and then just play the rest of the session when you're done checking. But we'll roll on to the next slide and start to break this down a little bit more. So what is fitness, and what does the word fitness mean to you? So, of course, we all have strengths and weaknesses, guys. You know, it's part of being human, especially from I mean, yes, from a character point of view as well, like from a personal point of view, but from a physical point of view, we all have stuff that comes more naturally to us and stuff that, you know, not so much. Some of them are based on our genetics and our body types. And again, getting fit or being fit is totally different depending on who you are. So we've all got different expectations, I think, of what the word fitness actually means and is supposed to mean. But it's definitely something to start thinking about. What does it mean to be fit to you? Yeah, because we're going to hopefully come away from today's session with some answers and a bit of an idea, okay, which areas do you really want to work on going forward on the, let's face it, guys, 8 weeks we've got between now and Christmas. Oh, wow, 2 months today, Christmas Day, guys. It's coming, you know. Now's the time to be thinking about our fitness, getting into a good routine before Christmas comes round, and, you know, be 8 weeks, 10 weeks ahead of everybody starting in January, you know, if we can get ourselves started now. So yeah, coming out of today's session, what does fitness mean to us? Let's hit the ground running and make some progress before Christmas rolls around. So as we've talked about already this morning, as we talked about while you guys were doing your word search, there's different ways that we can be fit. You know, we've talked about some of these already, but just some examples if you were coming back and revisiting these slides. Cardiovascular fitness is the ability for the heart, the lungs, and blood cells to supply oxygen-rich blood to the working muscles, because our muscles need oxygen to fire, to work, and that is what the blood is doing. It's carrying oxygen to those muscles. Strength, like we said, was the measure of being able to exert physical force against an object. Body composition was the balance of fat, water, and muscle in a human body. Flexibility, of course, was the range of motion in a joint or group of joints. Yeah, so those alone are for very different reasons. You could look at for very different people and say, okay, they're all fit in their own right. They wouldn't necessarily all be as good at all of these as the others, as one, but they would all be very sort of unique in their own right, I guess. So how is fitness different for everybody? So let's get a look at some examples, guys. So of course, Usain Bolt, somebody that we would probably all consider to be fit. You know, for those of you that aren't familiar with Usain Bolt, he's world record 100-meter sprinter, and he was the fastest man in the world at one point. You know, I don't know if he still is. I don't even know how old he is these days, actually. You know, but you think like he's got to be upwards of 30. You know, and you're thinking from our physical peak at the like Olympians and stuff like that. He's probably not quite as sharp as he used to be, but you know, very, very fast. I mean, he's even stopped. I mean, he hasn't stopped. He's still running in this picture, but he's managed to find a way to look at the camera and smile while he was winning. While he was winning this race as well. Okay, guys. So, in what way is Usain Bolt fit and able to do what he does? So we've got muscular strength in the sense that, you know, he's pushing really hard with his legs every single step. Now that does make quite a big difference over a short distance again as well, because he was doing 100-meter, 200-meter sprints. This guy's not out there doing like triathlons and Great North Run and stuff like that. Very, very short bursts across a very, very short distance, but really fast, really fast. So yeah, those in that short amount of time, muscular strength can play a distance because each step is more sort of powerful, I guess. Yeah. We've got cardiovascular endurance, cardiovascular fitness as well. So of course his lungs and heart need to work, not necessarily from an endurance point of view, but he needs to have cardiovascular fitness for long enough to work at maximum output for like up to 10 seconds really. Of course, speed. So we're thinking, of course, the ability he's got for crossing a distance in a certain time, in a certain speed. You know, it was literally how he was measured and given his world record, and his gold medals. Reaction time, like as I mentioned earlier on, he has to be, or it certainly helps to be the first one off the blocks when the gun goes off. You know, the starting gun. The first one to get moving might go on to win the race. You know, because like I say, the whole thing doesn't last very long. There's not long for the other competitors to make up that time. So that was reaction time. Coordination as well. A little bit more outside the box with this one because he's got he's only running in a straight line, so there's no agility there. He's not changing direction, but he does have to be able to take big strides, plant his feet, not trip over himself, not trip over other people up. And at the same time, when you look at sprinters, their upper body's always moving quite a lot as well, like they're punching through the air. So they've got to be able to coordinate that upper body and the lower body movement as well. There's a lot of technique goes into it that you wouldn't think. You think it's just running really fast, which it kind of is, but yeah, there's a lot of technique goes into it as well. And then the last one we've got for Usain Bolt is power, because again, of course, he needs to push off the starting blocks really, really quick. Each step needs to be really powerful, and each punch through the end needs to be powerful as well because it helps drive him forward as well, and it helps speed your legs up as well, believe it or not. Okay, guys, so that was Usain Bolt. Again, somebody that I would say we would probably all look at, definitely in his prime, probably still now, and say he's really fit. You know, he's got good fitness, but in that very specific way. So let's have a look at somebody else then. Let's have a look at, so we've got Bradley Wiggins here. So again, anybody that isn't familiar with Bradley Wiggins, he is a professional road and track racing cyclist, Tour de France winner 2012. And again, very, very fit in his own right. So in what ways is he fit? How are those different to Usain Bolt? Is any of them the same? Well, let's have a bit of a look and break it down. So we've got muscular endurance, which applies to him, but not Usain Bolt. Bradley Wiggins' Tour de France is, you know, what is it, like 21 days of cycling, like all day? They're long racing days, guys. They are long days. You need muscular and cardiovascular endurance actually to be able to keep going. You need to not only be able to breathe and, you know, keep all the oxygen going around your body to where it needs to be, including the brain, but also the muscle itself needs to have good endurance, not to get tired. You know, you think you're constantly pumping those pedals all day long while you're cycling. So you need that muscular endurance in your legs as well. A lot more. And that's probably where the biggest difference from Usain Bolt comes in the sense that Bradley Wiggins needs to do what he does for, 10 hours? Maybe. I'm not entirely sure how long a Tour de France day is. But, you know, 10 hours as opposed to 10 seconds is a big difference, yeah? So that's why those two individuals are different in that way. Usain Bolt's done in 10 seconds. Bradley Wiggins need to be able to take all day with it. He needs obviously balance a little bit more on a bike. There's more cornering, you know, and stuff like that. You're probably more at risk of falling off your bike than you would be of, you know, losing your balance when you're just sort of running along. Then we've got power, and we've got power, of course, because he needs to be able to, again, sort of push through the pedals. The harder he pushes those pedals every sort of time, the further he's driving his momentum, the further he's going, and the more momentum he's putting into his bike. So a lot of power goes through those pedals. And notice that we've got body composition there at the end, but I want to come back to that and revisit that in just a minute, because body composition is an interesting one. Okay, so the last example we've got for this morning is Michelle Kwan. So Michelle Kwan, a 5-time figure skating world champion, 2-time Olympic medalist. So again, really excelled at the top of her sport, which is of course sort of figure skating. So again, really fit, really good athlete, very professional athlete, made a living out of it. In what ways is she fit and able to do what she does? And how are these different in the last 2 examples that we've just looked at? So similarities we can see: cardiovascular endurance, because, again, performance, not only training, to put the performance together, but when they're actually performing the routine, being able to, the cardiovascular fitness, your lungs and your heart, getting the blood around the body into your muscles, for as long as the routine takes. It could be 3, 4, 5 minute track. We need that. We need the cardiovascular endurance to sort of keep up with that. Again, it's not a 10-second sprint. Muscular endurance, we need, again, the same as Bradley Wiggins. Yeah, the difference being Bradley Wiggins needs a lot of his muscular endurance in his legs, in these muscles here that are going to push the pedals. Now, there's a lot of muscular endurance in the legs on Michelle Kwan as well, but there will also be good muscular endurance in other muscles as well, shoulders and stuff like that, if they're doing sort of supported lifts and all sorts as well. But that muscular endurance is there, just like it would be with Bradley Wiggins as well. Body composition, ignore for now. Coordination, again, is a big one, more so with figure skating than with sprinting or with cycling. Coordination, of course, when it comes to spin, flips, jumps, whatever it might be, twirls, and some of the stuff that they do requires a lot of coordination and really good balance as well. I've fallen over on an ice skating ring and it hurt. Yeah, the aim is to do it as little as possible. So good coordination, good balance. So again, we've got a little bit of coordination, like Usain Bolt needed, and a little bit of balance, like Bradley Wiggins needs. Again, in different ways and for different stuff. Agility is one that is popping up on Michelle Kwan for the first time. Agility and flexibility we haven't seen yet. So, of course, even getting into this shape here, guys, like, I couldn't get into that shape. I'm not that flexible. I'm relatively flexible. I'm not that flexible. Yeah, that takes training, that takes stretching. And again, because these two never need to get into that shape, into that position, they don't have the flexibility. Yeah, Usain Bolt needs to be able to put one foot in front of the other and run really fast. Bradley Wiggins needs to be able to keep pedaling the pedals and to cycle really fast. He's not getting into all these, or they're not getting into all these different bodily shapes and positions, and with their center of balance is changing and stuff like that. And it's much more dynamic. So a couple of ways there in which not just Michelle Kwan, but if we think about that as a sport in general, pretty much most figure skaters would need these same components of fitness, or be fit in these same areas. So it's not even just about the individuals. We're thinking about the sport, and when we've come that one step back from thinking about the sport, we just think about the activity in itself, the movement. What are they actually doing? What are they actually asking their body to do on a physical level? And then how do you get better at it? You know, it was the same as there was one, and for anybody who's seen The Last Dance, they probably already know this, but there was one off season where Michael Jordan was just totally sick of getting bullied off the ball, getting beaten to rebounds, you know, and he was really having a hard season. So in the off season, he put a lot of time into getting bigger and to getting stronger. And it's kind of like they say, the rest is history from there. You know, the next season became to be pretty much regarded as one of the best to ever play the game, if not the best, because he realized he needed his body to get stronger. Yeah, he had the fitness, he had the cardiovascular endurance, he could run up and down the court all day long. But when it came to that one split second where he needed to be able to sort of shoulder somebody out of his way or get to a rebound or something like that, other people were just beating him to it. So he realized what he needed his body to do, and he picked these couple of areas, and yeah, he went on. And I mean, I'm sure everybody knows the name Michael Jordan. You know, so it just shows you how far. I mean, that's a really extreme example, but it shows you how far you can get really focusing on what you're asking your body to do, or would like to be able to ask your body to do, and how to improve these different areas until you're able to do that sort of as and when you need it to. And that's kind of what, you know, if you've heard of footballers coming back from injury and they're not match fit, it's like, okay, yeah, they can get up and walk around and function as human beings, but they can't go out there and run around with, you know, other people that are going to have an advantage of them because they're not injured. You know, so yeah, lots of different reasons there, guys, why different components of fitness, as we've looked at, come into play within different areas, within different sports. And like I say, that gives us a lot of information that we can take into our own lives and into our own fitness and exercise as well. You know, think, especially with, you know, social media and everybody, you know, probably has somebody on the feed that they're following who's, you know, really bang into the gym, big on the fitness and stuff like that. And, you know, maybe it's even a little bit of an inspiration, a little bit of motivation to you as well. But yeah, people usually do and should be exercising towards what is important to them, you know, whereas getting Men's Health magazine and following the workout that, you know, is featured by this month's model, that workout might not necessarily be right for your fitness. It might not even be putting you in the direction that you'd like to go, really, you know. Again, you see people in the gym who want to get, again, say, for example, more muscular endurance, but they don't know where to start. So they'll just do squats, but they'll do 10 and then they'll stop and give their legs a couple of minutes to recover, you know. So again, don't be scared to ask questions. Don't be scared to, you know, really explore different options of being fit and different ways to exercise and different ways to develop all of these different areas of fitness as well. Okay, guys, so let's spin on then. Can we think of any more examples of athletes that need specific components of fitness? Right, guys, so as always, if you're following along in the chat, just shout them out if you want to. If not, we'll break them down and, you know, we'll see if we can get one or two between us. So we're thinking about examples of athletes that need muscular strength, flexibility, balance, speed, coordination, agility, cardiovascular endurance, reaction time, muscular endurance, and body composition as well, yeah? So I'm going to give you guys just a couple of minutes off the top of your head to see if we can think of even just one more for each of these. One more sport, athlete, individual, whatever, that would need these specific components of fitness. Not all of them, just one at a time, of course. So for muscular strength, you could potentially say, obviously, like a strongman, a power lifter. When you see them pulling aeroplanes and wagons and 4x4s and stuff like that. Maybe even muscular strength could translate to stuff like a shot put or a discus, because you're trying to exert as much force as you can just once. You know, the more force you exert, the further whatever it is you're throwing is going to go. So that could be our bonus one for muscular strength. Flexibility, we mentioned earlier on, of course, gymnastics and a lot of different areas of gymnastics. You know, again, on the floor work, the balance, sometimes a balance beam based on what they do. Even just to be able to do the splits requires like pretty good flexibility as well. Can we think of another sport though? Another sport where flexibility will help? Have a think where flexibility would help. I guess to an extent, stuff like kickboxing and stuff like that, where you've got to be able to obviously like get your leg high enough to kick somebody. It's no good if you're just kicking people in the shin. That requires a little bit of flexibility at the hip. Okay, what about balance then? Balance might be one that I gave away earlier on, actually, when we were talking about a few different things. So balance, guys. Balance, of course, again, gymnastics, being on the beam. The Olympic diving, again, that they do, where they're doing flips, turns, twists, whatever, that all required balance throughout the movement. Balance again, stuff like skiing, snowboarding, all of that obviously requires balance, because you've got to stay on whatever you're trying to stay on, and ultimately you're trying to stay on your feet as well. Speed, of course, we've looked at like Usain Bolt, of like sprinting and stuff like that, being able to get across distance faster. Of course, the same applies to long distance as well. You know, somebody like a Mo Farah who, yeah, he didn't move as fast in terms of miles per hour, but he's won gold medals across 3,000 meters or whatever it is. So he was the fastest across those, you know, so that speed is come into play there and helped him out. Coordination is a lot of things, to be honest, guys. You know, again, it could be technique in certain sports, going for a volley as a footballer, or trying to catch the ball as a goalkeeper. You know, coordination again might be putting all those little movements together that make up a golf swing. That could be coordination. Playing the drums, and I know firsthand requires like a bit of coordination. You've got one arm doing one thing, another arm doing another thing, 2 feet potentially doing something different. And again, you know, same goes for dancing. When we're thinking about where are your feet, moving your feet around, controlling them as well. So coordination, agility. Again, we mentioned stuff like rugby, could be American football, of course, where you're almost like slaloming in and out of players, trying not to get hit, make it look as though you're going to go one way and then quickly change direction and go a different way. All different examples of where agility is being used in sports. Cardiovascular exercise, then cardiovascular endurance, again, might be like stuff that you'd use in a triathlon, you know, where you're swimming, you're running, and you're cycling all back to back. You need good cardiovascular endurance to be able to do those and keep up. It takes a lot for a triathlon. Okay, reaction time. We mentioned goalkeepers needing to make a save, react to a deflection, or you know, whatever it might be. Again, F1 drivers reacting to corners, something on the track that shouldn't be. Again, it could be thinking about basketball. Can you be the first one to react to a loose ball, or be in the right place for a rebound or something like that, get your team another possession? Muscular endurance, again, is going to apply to a lot of sports. It's like with the football, where you see footballers cramping up after 90 minutes, the game goes to extra time or whatever it is. That is all muscular endurance. You know, how long can those muscles work before they start to shut down? And you know, it just goes to show footballers are kind of almost conditioned to go to 90 minutes, because as soon as you start to get towards extra time, first 5-10 minutes of extra time, there's usually somebody cramping up. So it just shows that conditioning as well, their muscular endurance very specifically goes pretty well up to around about sort of 90 minutes. And again, you know, if someone's coming back from injury and they're not match fit, that might be what it is. They're not match fit. Their muscles are shutting down. You know, if you ever like played football when your legs are really tired and you go to kick a ball and like it's awful and your leg just doesn't comply, you know, you need those muscles to be quite fresh. Again, you know, it's the same in basketball. If you're trying to go up for shots and your legs are tired, you're not going to get the height, you're not going to get the elevation, your shot form's going to be off. You need that muscular endurance in your legs in that circumstance as well. Okay then, guys, so want to come back to body composition. Just make a point on body composition. So all of these athletes have competed at the top of their sport and often have won. Yeah. Each of them are people we could call fit, yet we can say they are fit in different ways, depending on their lifestyles, goals, and body type. We've listed body composition as something that helps each of these athletes be at the top of their game, but they all have different builds. They all have different body compositions. So again, there's no right and wrong. There is no ideal body composition. Again, it depends who you are, what you want your body to be able to do, what you're going to be asking your body to do. Yeah, what you want your body to be capable of. Often body types play a big role in what types of fitness comes most naturally to ourselves. Yeah, so a little disclaimer. Our body types should never dictate what we feel we can and can't do, you know, or that we're allowed to go and do. Yeah. So we're going to break down some different body types, look at some different body types and see, you know, what comes naturally to different body types. But if you, again, just talking about general fitness, if you enjoy something, whether it comes naturally or not, do it. You know, don't let anything stop you. We're just thinking in the example of helping people be sort of the best at what they do. Yeah, they're helping to be the best in the world at these things. That has come because you play to your strengths, really. You know, Mo Farah was never going to be a world's strongest man. Yeah, from genetics, from his body type and stuff like that. If he likes lifting weights, he can go for that. That's a really good fitness. There's no reason why he shouldn't. But from a professional and competitive point of view, Mo Farah would never come along and challenge somebody like Eddie Hall or, again, like bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that, you know. Okay, so body types. We've got 3 main different body types, guys, and we'll break them down. You might pick up like certain characteristics that you recognize in yourself or in other people, but bear in mind, we tend to be a mix between 2 of these. Yeah, we don't tend to be exclusively one of these. Yeah, so you might think you're a little bit of a couple of them. Okay, so first of all, we've got endomorphs. Yeah, so we've got the mountain himself. We've got Thor, the mountain from Game of Thrones, for anybody who saw it. So endomorphs are often pear-shaped with a waist bigger than the chest. Yeah, almost like that barrel sort of shape. Endomorphs usually have short arms and legs. I mean, he's nigh on 7 foot. I wouldn't say that they're short arms and legs, but relative to his body, they're quite short. And the upper part of the limb is normally larger than the lower part. Yeah, so from his knee up to his hip joint will be a longer muscle than from the knee down to the ankle joint. Yeah, so the upper part of the limbs tend to be larger, and they usually tend to store fat quite easily, and they easily gain muscle mass when they are exercising, working out. Yeah. Okay, so can we think of any other famous endomorphs, guys? So of course we could stay within powerlifting and go with like our Eddie Hall or something like that. And then we could push the boat out a little bit. So famous endomorphs. Again, I couldn't name any actually off the top of my head, but again we're thinking stuff like shot put and discus. Any other famous endomorphs? Again, sumo wrestling, they tend to be endomorphic. Can we think of any other famous endomorphs? I mean, within certain sports, yeah, I mean, you look at Shaquille O'Neal, who, was that big and forceful and dominant that they had to change the rules in the NBA to make the game more fair. So Shaq would be one. I'm trying to think of a footballer. There's Akinfenwa. There's a guy, I don't even know if he still plays actually. But check him out, Akinfenwa. I think he used to play for Burnley maybe, or somebody like that. And he's an absolute unit. So other famous endomorphs, we've got a couple there. We've got a couple. Just rack my brain, see if I can think of one more before we move on. So I suppose Tyson Fury. I guess Tyson Fury, as much as anybody, quite like that barrel sort of shape. Easily gain muscle mass, but tends to store fat quite easily. Okay, ectomorphs. Ectomorph. So ectomorph is somebody who's considered naturally thin, genetically predisposed to have this body type, and are often typically skinny their entire lives. Generally have a extremely fast metabolism, and usually have difficulty. Hiccups. Usually have difficulty building muscle mass as well. So can we think of any other famous ectomorphs? So naturally quite skinny, they don't tend to carry much muscle mass, and they usually have difficulty building muscle, generally have an extremely fast metabolism, Mo Farah being one example. Yeah. Okay then, ectomorphs. Again, you might look at somebody like Bruce Lee. Yeah, Bruce Lee was a very famous ectomorph, not much muscle. He's in good shape, which could be referred to as muscular, but that's more his body composition and more the fact he didn't have much fat on him than the fact that he was just outright muscly. Yeah, he was no Arnold Schwarzenegger again. He was no like Phil Heath. So ectomorphs. Again, race car drivers tend to make, or ectomorphs tend to make good race car drivers because they weigh less and they're not weighing the car down. In a sport where there's millions spent every year to try and make the car as light as possible, you wouldn't want somebody like this guy coming and getting in it, would you? Do you know what I mean? To drive it. Again, if you were trying to win and be competitive and stuff like that. So maybe somebody like a Lewis Hamilton. I know he's part of the third body type as well, which we're going to look at in just a sec. He's probably a mix between this one and the next one as well. But ectomorphs, yeah, tend to be quite skinny, quite thin, have muscle build, have difficulty building muscle mass. And yeah, the fact that they're lighter usually works to their advantage. And again, like triathletes, jockeys, again, I've never followed horse racing. I couldn't name a single jockey in ever. But at the same time, again, the less you weigh, to an extent, the more of a benefit you actually are, because you're not weighing the horse or the car down, whatever it is when it comes to racing. So ectomorphs are good at distance stuff. Again, triathlons and beyond heptathlons, whatever, because if you're running however many miles or swimming however many miles, it's so much harder when you're carrying more mass. Like, look at that guy who tried to do the London Marathon with a fridge on his back. Yeah, he did it. Fair play to the guy, he did it. but it took him a lot longer because he was carrying all that extra mass, you know, whereas somebody who was quite light isn't, of course, carrying all that extra mass over that distance. When it comes to Usain Bolt, he's not running for long enough for all that muscle to slow him down. Yeah, the muscle is more of a benefit than a hindrance because he's more powerful, and the event doesn't last long enough. Yeah, if that makes sense. Whereas with the other way around, with Mo Farah, the event does go on for however long, you know, a damn sight longer than 30 seconds. And he needs to be able to be quick across that distance and not carrying a load of extra weight. And so ectomorphs tend to be well suited to sports that are quite light. Yeah, you know, where being light is a benefit to them. Again, rugby, there will be ectomorph rugby players probably, but I couldn't name any. Okay, guys, and the last body type that we've got is a mesomorph. So it's an average build with the muscle definition and strength of an athlete. Yeah, broad shoulders, usually narrow waist, build muscle easily, and are generally more muscular than endomorphs and ectomorphs. Still have a fast metabolism that helps people with this body type lose fat and maintain weight, specifically when they follow a healthy diet and exercise program. Like, don't get me wrong, being a mesomorph doesn't automatically make you look like this. That was a lot of dedication and hard work that made Arnold Schwarzenegger look like that. But at the same time, again, genetics have helped that, you know, it's taken his diet that step further and his training that step further. So it's just helped him get more out of his healthy eating and his exercise program. So other famous mesomorphs, again, you could look at somebody like probably like a LeBron James, who's just naturally broad-shouldered, quite a big guy, obviously quite naturally. Mesomorphs, sort of thing. I mean, you see quite a lot in sports. You know, somebody like a Lukaku, you know, playing up front for Chelsea, could be mesomorph. Trying to think of some other sports as well. Famous mesomorphs. Let's have a look. Who have we got? Anna Kournikova, female tennis player. Yeah, that's about the main one that I'm finding there. So yeah, mesomorphs, like, and ectomorphs, endomorphs, like I say, people tend to be a mix of two, you know. So again, I would say that somebody like a Cristiano Ronaldo is probably what, ectomorph meets mesomorph, somewhere in between. Yeah, in good shape, got a decent amount of muscle, but obviously quite thin, lanky as a kid, before he started developing that muscle mass. So probably ecto meets mesomorph for Ronaldo. I don't know why my head's so much on so much in the footy at the minute. So have a think. What about someone like Serena Williams, guys? What do we think? Serena and Venus Williams body type. So Venus Williams would be a endomorph meets mesomorph. Okay, guys, so hopefully, yeah, that just gives us a little bit, went off on a bit of a tangent there. Hopefully that just gives us a bit more of a little bit more insight into these different body types. And, you know, maybe by now you're thinking, okay, that one sounds a little bit like me. That one sounds a little bit like me. Maybe I'm a mix of these two. And again, hopefully it'll help us understand our own fitness, because, yeah, we're talking about athletes and people that have been the best in the world at what they do. But at the same time, we need to be able to sort of take what we can from this and apply it to our own fitness and our own lives, really, you know, and think about our exercise going forward. Again, if you don't want to look like this, you don't need to train like he did. You don't need to eat like he did, you know? If you're not planning on running miles and miles and miles like Usain, like Mo Farah does, maybe you don't need your cardiovascular endurance to be that good, you know? So it's about, okay, how far do I need it to go? Where is enough for what I need it to be? Because like I say, I think it's so easy, especially if we're not really sure where to start when it comes to exercise. So easy to get wrapped up in what somebody else is doing. Oh, you're following that training plan. Yeah, I'll try that. Or you're on that diet. Yeah, I'll give it a go because I don't know what I'm doing. You know, and what works for one won't necessarily work for somebody else. And when we think about it this way, it shouldn't. We're all so different. We need our body to do different things, even on a day-to-day basis, you know, working, commuting, looking after kids, activities, hobbies that we like doing. It's different for everybody. So what we need our body to be capable of is different for everybody as well, really. By now, we can see that to be fit means something different to everybody, and there's no right and wrong way to go about it. You know, the only wrong way to go about it is if you're not trying at all and you're not doing any exercise, really. We can see how different components of fitness are important in many ways, depending on your goals and lifestyle. Yeah. Although many people do not fall into one specific body type and can be a mix, being able to recognize our own body types, strengths and weaknesses can help us decide what fitness means to us and which of these aspects we'd like to maintain and improve on. Yeah. This can also highlight what physical activities we might be naturally suited to, helping us get a bit more active. Yeah. So again, if I was new to fitness and I was new to exercise and I was looking for something new to go and do, if I took this on board and thought about my body type, my strengths, my weaknesses, if I signed myself up for sumo wrestling next week as an ectomorph, I'm going to go down to sumo wrestling and probably not have a very great time. Yeah, because I'm probably going to stick out like a sore thumb. And again, if I enjoyed sumo wrestling, no problem. No problem in that at all. Go along. Go for it. If you enjoy it, that's half the battle. That's enough if you enjoy it. The problem is when a lot of us are trying to find new forms of exercise, new ways of keeping fit, exploring different options, we don't want to go along and stand out like a sore thumb or think that we do. So I find it helps, even if it's just to get us started, to find something that we are a little bit more sort of naturally suited towards. You know, again, I'm an ectomorph. I would be good at, you know, in theory, on paper, I'd be good at endurance events. You know, I'm never going to be a good power lifter because I don't have the genetics. Yes, I could power lift. I could train for it. I could get better at it. I could make a hobby of it. But I'm not a natural at it. You know, I'm not built to be natural at it. And again, I think that's helped me change my approach to fitness quite a lot over the years in that, you know, when I first started training and qualified to be a PT, I was quite interested in the bodybuilding side of things, you know, and trained a lot in that way. And then, you know, about a year into it, I did my qualification, I got my PT quali, and I thought to myself, okay, what do I want to get better at though? What do I want to get better at? And it was, you know, muscular endurance, flexibility, balance, coordination, all of that sort of things I'd rather be good at than just being able to lift a load of heavy weights, you know? And again, playing to my strengths a little bit. And I found that I could stick at that and I've been able to be consistent with it, you know, which is half the battle. Again, if you're thinking about, you know, different options you can explore and different aspects of fitness and different sort of routes into fitness you could look at, just consider your natural strengths as well. Yeah, just consider your body type, consider your natural strengths. Again, Body type should never tell you can't do something. You know, if you enjoy it, like I say, go for it. Go for it. Like I say, there is no right or wrong body type, but there is when it comes down to wanting to be or trying to be the best. Yeah. Like I say, if I took up bodybuilding, I'm never, ever gonna be on stage and, you know, in a competition above somebody who's just got these genetics. Like, what am I? I'm coming up 30 in December. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger was, maybe he's even retired by then. What age did Arnie? Just before we wrap up, guys, when did Arnold stop bodybuilding? 33. Yeah, 33. So I would say Arnold Schwarzenegger was probably past his prime by the time he got to my age. You know, like this year he might have been what, 27? That would have been me 2 years ago getting up on stage, and it just wouldn't happen. Genetically, we just built different, you know. So guys, that being said, I want to really stop there and think about, I want you to think about, what does fitness actually mean to you? And answer these questions. Even grab yourself a pen and paper and answer these questions, and write your answers down. So what components of fitness are important to you? What components of fitness are important to your goals and the lifestyle that you want to lead? What do you think is your body type? Even a mix of two. By extension, what do you think are your natural strengths and your natural weaknesses? And then finally, what approaches to fitness are there that can play to your strengths and the components of fitness that are important to you? Yeah, because there's different ways to approach our fitness as well. So a couple of minutes, guys, answer yourself these questions. What does fitness mean to you? What components of fitness are important to you, your goals, and the lifestyle you want to lead? What's your body type? What's your strengths and your weaknesses? And then finally, and I can help with this, what approaches to fitness can play to your strengths and your components of fitness that are important to you? And if we get these questions answered, we could have a really insightful route towards where we need to be, and it might be pointing us in a direction that we can actually go, especially if it's a particular activity or sport or whatever it might be. So yeah, guys, a couple of minutes just to answer those questions. Because this is one slide I can't give you the answers to. Yeah, stuff for us to just think about ourselves. And again, this might not even come to you today. It might just be something to think about and sort of ponder going forward. But they're important questions to be asking, because otherwise you're sort of fumbling around in the dark. You know, you're going in all the directions because you're not going in one direction, you know. So yeah, what's important to you after everything we've talked about this morning? Which of those areas are important to you and the lifestyle that you want to lead? Okay, guys, let's spin on then. Let's spin on. So last proper slide that we've got to do, last activity for us to do today. We're going to do a group activity, and I want to have a think about it. So, group activity. A lady called Joanna needs our help, guys. So Joanna wants to get active but doesn't know where to start. So she's given us this information. She's got good coordination, but poor flexibility. She feels like she's not very strong, but she has quite good agility. She has good cardiovascular fitness. And she feels like she is a mix between endomorph and mesomorph. Now, again, remember, our body types don't limit what we can and can't do, and they never should. They just guide us towards what might come more naturally. Yeah. So what could we suggest to Joanna as ways of getting more active? Yeah. To help her get fitter. Yeah. She doesn't necessarily want to improve the areas that she feels that she's not very good, but she does feel as though there's certain things, like the fact that she feels that she's not very strong. There's certain things that she wouldn't do. She wouldn't go along to like an exercise class where she's lifting weights and stuff like that, because she hasn't got the confidence to do it. So what could we suggest for Joanna to do to get more active? A couple of minutes, guys, just for you to have a little think and a little ponder. What could she do to get moving? I think she could do, let's have a think. Good coordination, isn't very strong. Good cardiovascular fitness, good agility. Yeah, so could she take up something like dancing? Yeah, she doesn't need to be strong. She doesn't need to be flexible. Yeah, she's got good agility, so good balance, good coordination. She could take up dancing. Yeah, she's got good agility and good coordination. Again, maybe she could, if she wanted to be a bit more competitive, she could go to something like badminton or squash or tennis. There's no reason in there that would suggest to me that she shouldn't be or couldn't be doing something like swimming. Yeah, she could be doing swimming. Absolutely no reason why not. She feels she has poor flexibility. She isn't very strong, so maybe something like yoga would actually develop these two that she feels as though are a bit of like weaknesses that she's got. She's not got good flexibility and she isn't very strong. Now, yoga doesn't require those, but it will certainly help you get better at those. So we could point her in the direction of something like yoga as well, if we wanted to. So straight away there's a few different things that we could really point you in the direction of and say, look, try this, see how you get on with that. You might have even thought of one or two more that I've not even thought of there. Again, let me know in the comments or drop me an email. You know, what else could Joanna do? What else could we sort of prescribe that might help her get a little bit more active, specifically in a consistent way? What do we think, guys? Something to leave you with and ponder over for the rest of the afternoon or whenever it is that you are watching this back. And that'll about do us for today, actually. I can't believe how fast our session's gone over this morning. I hope you've all enjoyed it. And I hope it's got everybody thinking in a little bit more depth about their own idea of fitness and where they would like to be in terms of, you know, wellness, well-being, performance and stuff like that going forward. Like I say, I know that none of us are going out to compete in you know, Olympic championships and, you know, FA Cup games and stuff like that. Like, being the best shouldn't be as important. We're not competitive, we're not professionals. We're doing it in the name of keeping fit and getting some exercise and stuff like that. I'll go and have a kickabout, but I don't need to be, you know, it's not professional football. I don't need to be worried about being the best one there. I just need to worry about, is it something that I enjoy, and is it ultimately something that's going to develop my fitness in ways that are relevant to me? You know, exactly the same reason why I stopped lifting heavy weights, because I realized once I got to a certain point, being stronger didn't really add more to my skill set in the way that I wanted it to, you know. So yeah, these are questions that I've asked myself over the years, and I do ask myself from time to time in order to change them around, because, like I say, it might change. Like, you might want to develop your muscular strength for now. And then you might get to the point where you're happy with that, and you might want to do cardio endurance, or you might want to do flexibility. But picking one at a time makes it so much more achievable, because you're focused on one thing, get it done, achieve it, move on to something else, rather than trying to do all of these and improve all of these at the same time. It's really difficult to do, guys. And you know, when it comes to our exercise and our training, a lot of the time is a bit of a barrier. So let's not be trying to turn ourselves into superhumans overnight, when all we really want to do is be able to carry all the shopping in one go, or not get out of breath going up the stairs. You know, guys, let's keep it in perspective, and let's think about where we want to and where we need to end up in our own sort of physical bodies. Okay, guys, that'll wrap us up there then. Short and sweet. Of course, this is a one-off session. If you want any information on future courses, if you want any information on upcoming courses that are that we already have sort of booked and scheduled, then by all means let me know. Drop me an email, get in touch with us at Media Savvy, whether it's me or one of the guys in the office. Always happy to help out and point you in the right direction. As I mentioned at the start of the session, guys, please don't forget to complete the survey. Your feedback is very important to us, as always. And like I say, it helps us actually fill some paperwork in on your behalf as well, so it saves you a job there. If you want to learn more about nutrition and taking care of the human body, make sure to check out our social media pages and our upcoming courses and our drop-in sessions that we do as well, where you're not really committing to attending every week, but you know, you might get along 1 week, miss a week, and you know, you're not worried about missing stuff the week that you're off. Yeah, just them drop-in sessions. If you want a little bit more information, again, let me know. Drop me an email. Don't forget to do that survey, please, guys. And as always, we hope you've enjoyed the session. Thank you for learning with Media Savvy and with myself as well, guys. So I think that's about everything that we needed to, well, that is everything that we needed to cover. So I will let you lovely folk enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, whenever you are watching this back. And like I say, let me know if you need any more information, or just let me know how you found the course in general. Yeah. As always, guys, don't forget to check out the fitness video as well. Like I say, today is a nice little stretching video, because it might be the first time that we're thinking about getting moving, getting active again, and stretching. It's just a nice way to ease into it, bring that heart rate up, but you know, we're not risking any injuries or anything like that. We can just warm those muscles up a little bit if they've been sat in the same position through lockdown and through numerous lockdowns as well. So yeah, make sure we have a good little stretch before we really do start chasing these fitness goals. So yeah, good one to try out. If you're already moving and already active and you want something a bit more intense, follow the link that's in the description, and that'll take you to our workout playlist anyway. And there'll be something on there for everybody, you know, be it ab session that you want to do or full body circuits. There's a little bit of something. Okay, guys, so we'll leave it there then. Like I say, let me know, get in touch if you do need anything, if you've got any questions or want more information. Have a good day, good afternoon, good week. Stay safe, look after yourselves and those around you. And we will be back next week with a brand new course. Like I say, let me know if you want any info on that one. Thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy. Have a good day. Good luck with your fitness video. I'll catch you guys later.